Welcome to this week's edition of Trade the Trend, a weekly video discussing where the stock market is heading. I'm Jason McIntosh. It is Friday the 28th of January 2022. As always, this is general commentary and doesn't take your personal situation into account. Alright, with that said, let's get straight over to that first chart. Well, I think the only place to begin this week has to be the Nasdaq, because that's really been where all the the bulk of the action's been. And so I've got the trend channel on here that we've been talking about over the last few weeks because it's such a significant item on this chart. And what we've seen is that what you have when you see a breakdown from a trend channel, it signals there's a significant disruption in the previous momentum. So the momentum we've had over here over the last year and a half, that momentum has now been severely disrupted, as was signaled, as we spoke about a few weeks ago, as the market looked heavy and started to break through. And so let me just highlight some support. Let's draw some support on this chart to give some idea of where we currently are. So I'm going to use that low point there, and I'm going to pick up some highs. Let me just do that again. So I've got that low point and pick up these highs. So the market's pretty much come right back to this support region that we highlighted last week. So yeah, we've got those highs there. We've got the significant low here from September, October, and this has been where the market's been drawn to over the last few weeks. So if we measure that move to give us an idea of how deep this correction is, if we use a high point from November, and we just bring that down, that brings us to, look, so far that's coming in at around 18%. So, you get to 20% and that's a technical bear market. So the Nasdaq really has had a really rough time of it. It's a significant pullback, the biggest pullback we've had since that COVID period. It's the biggest pullback since you've got to come all the way over here to the crash, the COVID crash, to get a pullback of the magnitude we're currently in. So look, let's jump over to. I want to jump over to the 4 hourly charts just to get some. I want to zoom in on this area here, and it's going to be best done if we see it on a shorter time frame than the dailies. So let's jump over to that 4 hourly, and now let's just prepare the chart. So this is good, and I'm just going to let's remove this support zone for now because we know the market's come back to there. What I want to look at here is, okay, we're trying to work out where's this market going to, where's it going to potentially bottom? Where could it go from here over the next week? What's really interesting when I look at this chart is I studied a lot of theory called Elliott wave theory back early in my career. It's Elliott wave theory is a really interesting theory. It was devised in the 1930s by a guy called Ralph Elliott, and he proposed that the markets moved in 5-wave advances when it was bullish and 5 waves declines when it was bearish, and then after you get your 5 waves, then you get a move in the opposite direction. So what we have here, I'm just going to find some Elliott wave markers. Here we go, the 5-wave impulse. So we've got wave 1 here, wave 2 there, wave 3, wave 4. Now I think this market has one more dip lower before it finds at least a temporary low. That would give us our wave 5 down here somewhere. So this is all theory. This may not happen, but it looks to me like this is an impulsive decline which needs one more tip lower to give us at least a near-term low. And when I look at this, I can also see we've got this little bit of a wedging pattern forming on the charts here. So let's just draw that in. So we had the market fall heavily during the week, and then we've had this just over the last couple of days. It's been traveling sideways in a volatile but ultimately a fairly flat range considering the depth of the decline. So if this were to go to theory and and break lower, we potentially get one more move down, and then from there you'd look for a significant rebound. So then you start looking over the next few weeks for something like that to develop. That's where I think we could be in this selling cycle that we're currently experiencing. So look, I think we're potentially close to a near-term low. I'd look for then the strong rebound after there, and from there, what happens if this all pans out? It might not work like this, but if it does, how the market rebounds is going to give us a lot of clues, I think, to whether there's another wave of selling after all this, and we go down for a bigger correction, or whether this is it and it's going to be then a sideways move before potentially going higher. So I think a lot's going to come out of the next few weeks to see whether the market does bottom and then does rebound. And look, just one more thing whilst we're on the Nasdaq. Let's just jump over to now this what I'm about to show you here. It's Nasdaq 100 stocks above their 50-day moving average. So I'll put this on a weekly chart. So here we are here. At the moment, it's very few. It's only like around 12% of stocks are above their 50-day moving average. So you expect that in a market sell-off. No great surprise there. But what's interesting is that, just to give you an idea of how stretched this market really is getting, it's you bring this through, and once the market does get into this blue band, it really is just a matter of time before it springs upwards, and you get that reversion to the mean type rally where stocks have been stretched so far to the downside that they snap back. And they a lot of them will then rebound above their 50-day moving average and pull this graph higher. So I think we've got to be careful about not getting too bearish just at this point. There could be a bigger bearish story playing out later on, but I think for the moment we could be getting to the point where it just can't go much further because that rubber band is now getting so stretched that it does need to rebound to the upside. So look, a few interesting points to think about there with the Nasdaq. And when we go to the S&P 500, it is I'll use this one. It's a very similar story. So here's the chart from last week. I've left the support that we drew last week. Actually, let me just go back to the daily chart. There we go. Get a daily chart. Yeah, so look, there's a support that support region we drew in last week, and we talked about the market having the potential to come back to this October low through here, and that's very much what it's done. It's sitting on that support. Look, the potential's there that it does test this support again. It could edge through it, but I think we're getting close to that point where we're going to get a decent rebound. So to be clear, I'm not suggesting a new bull market, but merely a rebound that helps the market just correct itself from that oversold situation where it currently finds itself, just because it's fallen so quickly. And so we need to get that reaction on the other side to balance that out. And one of the possibilities, which I think, look, it's not a base case, but it's just a possibility. It's a possibility that we see something like 2018 start to happen. It's this sort of period through here which is interesting to look at. It's just interesting to get an idea of how markets can move. So this was interesting because we had the sharp initial sell-off, and then we had, look, depends whether you want to look at it from here or here, but either way we then got a decent rebound which continued on for a few weeks, and then we got another decline. These things never play out the same way, but you do get zigzag corrections. So that's one of the possibilities here. Are we going to see a zigzag correction, which would be, so a zigzag correction would be, we get our first move down, maybe somewhere around here. You get the rebound, like the rebound could come to here, it could come to here. No idea particularly at this point. And then you get another leg down. So that's a possibility that could start to become clearer over the next few weeks. Completely speculative at the moment. We're just looking like how corrections can unfold. Then you get ones like this. Initial leg down, the rebound, then the test low turns into a sideways range. It doesn't actually break the low. So all sorts of things that could happen. The market rallying to a new high, in the next few months is also possible. We don't know. That's why I say we need to see this rebound, if that is what's going to happen, and see what starts to develop from that. All right, now, and of course, look, if you're getting some value from this video, please hit that like button, leave a short comment, just hey, like the video. It just tells YouTube that people are watching and engaging, then YouTube show other people, and it just helps me build my YouTube channel. I keep making the videos, so that would be really good if you could do the like, and just a really brief comment would be fantastic. And so now let's go over to the ASX 200. Go over to the the local market, and this is an interesting situation. So what's happened here is the market's come back to support. So I'm going to draw in the support region we drew in last week. So it was something around here. So what we picked up a high here, high regions through here. Through here it did some work within the range. It just broadening it a touch just to there. Picked up this low point from September. So that was a bit of a support range, and we talked about the market coming back to there. Actually, I think we actually tightened it up. I think we actually worked off a support range through here. Actually, that's a better fit. Pick up this high, pick up these lows. So this is the thing with support ranges. There's all sorts of ways to do it. But look, let's work on this. This is a range from last week, this narrow band. So yeah, picks up all this and picked up the low. So what we have there is what we were looking for, and it's also interesting that it's also in the Fibonacci band. So let's put on some Fibonacci's. I'm going to use this as the low point. I think that this was a completed move. Then we had a consolidation, and now potentially this is a completed move, and now we're having the consolidation or the correction. And it's it's just interesting to see the market come back between that 38.2% and 50%. Maybe this is going to be a bigger consolidation, like we're talking about with the S&P and the Nasdaq. But we don't know this yet. At the moment, let's just work off what we have. The market's fallen to support. It's within that Fibonacci band. So to me, it gives the impression that we could be getting close to at least a near-term low. Now, what I want to do, I want to jump over to the 4-hourly charts again, just to get some more detail of this section through here. So, jumping to the 4-hourlies, let's take that support out. We don't need that just here. Now, again, it's interesting. We talked about the 5 waves of the Elliott decline or an Elliott impulse wave, and you can get the same thing going here in the ASX 200. So what we have, it's like the thing with Elliott wave. I stopped using Elliott wave because I found it difficult from a consistency point of view. But there are times where it does start to look quite clear. So look, we tend to get like a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3, 4, and 5. So you can potentially count a 5-wave decline there. Now it's possible that's not it, and it does test a bit lower again. But I think it's getting rather close. So again, it's that case of, look, if the US market goes down, you expect the local market to have another test lower. So it could test lower, but then we're getting close to what I think we could see is that rebound. So this is interesting from the perspective if you're holding stocks which you think you should have sold a little bit earlier, and you're wondering what to do. This is one of those points where you could say, look, I want to sell into the rebound if that's what happens. So that's a possibility. That's very much what I'm what I'm thinking about as a potential over the next few weeks. So let me just go back quickly to the daily chart, and what I think is interesting to look at, just to get some perspective around this, because look, I think a lot of people are worrying about a crash. Hear people talking about, look, the market's going to crash again. Now it's interesting. There's the pre-COVID high. The market's already below there. So it's actually quite a different setup to the US markets, which is quite a bit above. I think the US market has more potential for downside volatility than the local market. So I don't think we're going to see another COVID style crash. I think it's unlikely. In fact, I think it's highly unlikely. Anything's possible, but I just don't think that's going to happen again. It's look, things don't unfold the same way as they did in the recent past. It typically doesn't work like that. And what's interesting with here is this: COVID crash was just so hard because it just went straight down. You didn't get that rebound, which I think we might see now. So the COVID crash was down, and it was interesting when the market was here. I had some exit stops which I'd missed, and just because things were moving quickly, I was busy, I was caught up, and I missed some stops. It happens. And I thought, well, this is okay. No need to panic because the market will probably rebound, as it almost always does, get a rebound, and then we can assess, and if it goes lower from there, we can react to that. But during the rebound would be the time to unload some stocks I was holding. But it didn't happen. It just went, as we know, it just went straight down. It was such a unique situation. I don't think that's going to happen here. That's why I'm very much on the lookout for, do we have a temporary low, and are we close to getting that rebound? And then from there we're going to have to look at that and carefully assess, like, how's it rebounding, and then that will give us some clues to like how the next few months may well play out. So very interesting times. It's been a rocky week. Hopefully next week's going to be a little bit more positive. We'll have to wait and see. So look, let's leave it there for this week. Thank you for joining in. I hope that helps put some perspective to the week, and let's come back and try and put all those pieces together again next week. Thanks for joining in.